The Acts of the Apostles, presented by Nicoletta Pilara and Marissa Barberia. To give a better understanding of the geographical context of the work, we have highlighted the areas of importance. The 10 tapestries were originally commissioned by Pope Leo X. It was a great honor that Raphael was selected to create the preliminary designs for such a prominent work to be placed in the Sistine Chapel. This is located in the Vatican City, Rome. Raphael completed the cartoons in 1516. They were then sent to Peter van Elst's guild in Brussels, Belgium. Van Elst completed the weaving of 7 of the 10 tapestries in 1519. These were then sent back to Rome, and the remaining pieces arrived shortly after. The tapestries illustrate episodes from Peter and Paul's life. Peter is especially significant because he is known as the predecessor to all popes, according to the Catholic belief. The lower borders of 5 of the 10 tapestries depict scenes from the life of Giovanni de' Medici's life before becoming Pope Leo X. 4 of the tapestries focus on scenes of Peter. First shows the miraculous draught of the fishes, which shows Peter vowing to follow Christ after he helps him catch fish. Second shows Christ's charge to Peter. The keys function as a promise of entry into heaven, and we all know that keys signify Peter. This is significant in this context because this is the key moment from the Gospels for the claims of the papacy. The next 2 tapestries show the powers of Peter. The healing of the lame man tapestry shows the miracle of Peter reviving a man's ability to walk. The death of Ananias tapestry shows the sudden death of Ananias after he lied to the apostles about money. The remaining 6 tapestries depict the life of Paul and his conversion to the Christian faith. The first shows the stoning of Stephen, who in his death became a martyr. Paul is a witness of this event before his conversion. Second shows the conversion of Saul, explaining Paul's vision of going to Damascus and becoming the apostle to the Gentiles. The next 4 tapestries show the development of Paul's mission. The conversion of the proconsul shows Paul's first miracle, where he strikes Elymas blind, resulting in the proconsul's conversion. The sacrifice at Lystra shows Paul ripping his garments in disgust as the people of Lystra view him as a god because of his miracle of curing a crippled man. Paul in prison shows the break in the ground that symbolizes the earthquake that frees Paul from prison. Paul preaching at Athens features portraits of Pope Leo and Janus Lazarus, who was a Greek scholar living in Rome. The scenes of Pope Leo's life that can be seen on the bottom borders of 5 of the tapestries are as follows: his entry into Florence, his visit to Rome in 1492, and his admission to the consistory, the sack of the Palazzo de' Medici, the capture at Ravenna in 1512, and the escape to Milan, and last, the recall of the Medici and his re-entry into Florence. Pope Leo X commissioned the work with the aim to re-establish the authority of the papacy. Leo was elected pope after the Reformation and had the hope to endorse the Catholic Church through the arts. The Acts of the Apostles were supposed to translate the new papal ideals and message into visual form. This could be seen as a form of propaganda, which tapestries were commonly used for. Leo's vision for the tapestries was subtle, in contrast to Raphael's grand works in the stanza, also located in the Vatican. This caused Raphael to revise his own style when interpreting the Acts of the Apostles. This made his task a difficult one, as he now had to mute his style, maintain harmony with the rest of the Sistine Chapel, and clearly portray the Pope's message. Yet, this does not mean that the cartoons he created were not Raphael-like. He was still able to make this a personal artistic creation. Raphael knew that the tapestries were of the utmost importance, especially because they would be compared to Michelangelo's frescoes, which were also in the Sistine Chapel. We can see how much effort Raphael put into the sketches through X-ray evidence, as he commonly corrected the work of his assistants. In fact, the cartoons were highly finished, making them look more like watercolor paintings. This suggests that perhaps Raphael intended them to be seen as works of art on their own. Brussels played a dominant role in the production of tapestries at the time, and Van Elst was one of the leading merchants in this industry. The fact that Leo chose Van Elst's workshop to complete the important commission speaks to the high quality of Flemish tapestries, especially ones from this workshop. The weavers succeeded in representing different painterly effects in the tapestries, further showcasing the sophistication of their skill. The tapestries were created with wool, silk, and silver and gold thread. The finished tapestries were amazing and luxurious works of art, so much so that they were worth not one, not two, but 5 different Sistine Chapel ceilings. According to some historians, the weaving process required Raphael's cartoons to be cut into strips, and then the background and figures separated. It is uncertain if these were sketches or copies of the cartoons that were cut, if they were at all cut. The weavers worked on the figures and the background separately. They closely followed the cartoons when weaving the figures, but took liberties when weaving the landscapes and backgrounds. This explains why later tapestries made from the cartoons differ in appearance. Shortly after Peter Van Elst's death, copies of the Acts of the Apostles were created for Francis I. Willem de Moyen and Daniel and Antoon van Bergen were responsible for the tapestry's creation. In Francis's set, the lower panels previously depicting Pope Leo's life showed scenes honoring the King of France. In 1797, these copies were burned to extract the silver and gold that were threaded into the tapestries. Henry VIII also had copies made, which he sold in the mid-1600s. This copy reappeared in Berlin, only to be destroyed in the Second World War. Some of the original Raphael cartoons still exist, which were acquired by Charles I, the Prince of Wales. Queen Victoria moved the cartoons to the Victoria and Albert Museum located in London, England. They are held in a custom-fitted gallery and are still on display to the public today.